All right, welcome back to Draws and Fades, episode 100, preview of the Memorial Tournament at Muirfield Village Golf Club in Dublin, Ohio. I'm your host, Owen Vrabel, joined by my co-host, Matthew Miller.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back.
And producer, Nick Boss.
What's going on, boys? How we doing? Episode 100. There we go.
Episode 100. Who would have thought we would have made it to episode 100? It's amazing. Hopefully that's got to bring us some sort of good juju this week that we made it this far. I'm a little upset, obviously. Sam Burns wins to Charles Schwab, and I'm pretty sad to say I was not a part of that. Won in a playoff over world number one Scotty Scheffler. So we will recap that before we do. Make sure to win big in 2022 with rotoballer.com's PGA Premium Pass. Are you ready to dominate? Rotoballer's premium DFS package includes exclusive tools, DFS cheat sheets, research stations, our lineup optimizer, and so much more to help you win big. For a limited time, get your PGA Premium Pass for 50% off using promo code DNF10 for another 10% discount. Just visit rotoballer.com/radio or sign up today and start rotoballing like a boss. So, yeah, we'll get into the quick recap of Charles Schwab. I think this is an exciting week. Memorial Tournament. We'll give you a preview at Muirfield Village. Jack Nicklaus's precious baby. One of the best courses on the PGA Tour schedule. We'll get into our strategy for this week, betting and one and done. Going to the odds list on FanDuel. Pretty stacked, limited field, about 120 golfers in the field this week. And, a lot of the big names are here. I think Scotty, Scheffler, Justin Thomas are a few of the big names that aren't here. Brooks Koepka as well. We'll give you our outright plays as we go through the board, top 10s, top 20s as well. And we'll make our one and done picks at the end. And hot off the press, I think we'll have to make a little quick segment at the beginning of the show. The LIV Golf Tour has dropped their field for their first event, which is insane. We might as well start off with that, actually, before we get into the recap of the Charles Schwab. But always follow along on Twitter at draws_n_fades, at Owen_Vrabel, and at Matty Mills85. Yeah, so we're just about to start recording, and Daniel Rappaport sends out the list of players that are confirmed playing in the first event on the LIV Tour, and right away the first name that jumps out is Dustin Johnson. So Dustin Johnson collecting the bag on the LIV Golf Tour, boys. How do we feel about that?
Hey, he released that statement saying he was not going to join. Now he's joining, and I'm sure he's not going to say a whole lot about it, but it is surprising because he is like RBC's poster boy, and he's skipping the RBC Canadian Open to go play on the LIV Golf Tour. So I don't think RBC is going to like that very much. I would assume there's going to be a change of sponsorship there pretty soon.
Yeah, crazy. That was about as unexpected as it gets. Just a couple other of the big names. Sergio, not really a surprise. Dick Bland, not a surprise. Taylor Gooch, I guess a little bit of a surprise, a younger up-and-coming American golfer who, you guess you can, make the case it's a scumbag tour, so to speak, but they're throwing money at these guys that could be life-changing money. He's a surprise. And then, kind of an older crew like Brendan Grace, Graham McDowell, Kevin Na, Louis Oosthuizen, Ian Poulter, Charles Schwartzel, Hudson Swafford made it over there. Lee Westwood, Bernd Wiesberger. And we're not going to go through the whole list of guys, but other than that, then you kind of go into like lower level European tour guys. Maybe not even lower level, but I think they actually got a decent little field here for their first event.
Yeah, I will say I think it's better of a field than I thought they were going to get. And to make the case, I think they're going to get stronger. I think Dustin Johnson and Taylor Gooch going kind of opens the door for a lot of other players to be more open to it. And I also think it's kind of odd they got this strong of a field. This event's in London, isn't it? So guys are willing to go overseas the week before a major over here. I think geographically speaking, the USA events are going to be even more appealing.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think about that. To go to London the week before the US Open is quite shocking for DJ in particular. Even for Gooch, and even for the older guys, like Sergio's at the back end of his career, so is Oosthuizen, but in their heads, they're definitely trying to win a US Open the week following. So
I wonder if their participation in the LIV event will have any ramifications on their US Open status.
That's what I feel like is still such a gray area that we haven't really gotten any definitive answer on what that's going to be. Obviously, the public backlash might be big. I mean, I don't know exactly how much money they're getting per person, like to go and play on this event. Obviously, it's only a 48-man field, so the purses are going to be huge, and there's not a ton of competition. So they're making a shit ton of money, no doubt about it. So you can have your opinions about how you feel about where the money's coming from and whatnot. But for them, if morals aside, they feel like the money is worth it, then they're going to go for it. So if there aren't like huge ramifications, then I think you're right. Like, why would players like see that James Piot or fucking Hudson Swafford and Peter Uline are over there like making bags of cash, and they're struggling to make the cut at the Memorial and get like 30 grand. There's definitely it's interesting.
It's an appeal.
Yeah.
I mean it's it's interesting. And no Phil Mickelson in the field.
No Phil Mickelson.
Is Phil gonna now spin zone this? Like, hey, like I said some bad things, but I didn't actually do it like these guys.
Who the fuck knows what Phil Mickelson's next move is? But that's it. I mean, I think people were under the impression that Phil's next appearance were wherever it was going to be or whenever it was going to be on that tour and not on a PGA tour. But who knows? Who knows? Phil is a complete wild card at this point. I think the longer he stays under a rock, kind of far away from the public eye, probably the better for him. But who knows? So that was quite interesting. And I guess it definitely changes the field at the Canadian Open next week a little bit. I mean, DJ being at the top of the board definitely offers a little more value for the rest of the field. But obviously JT is playing. They still have a couple of big names playing next week. But
he did a very good job of keeping that under wraps too. I mean, you brought up a good point before we started, Owen, of like, do you think any of the other big names on tour, guys he's friendly with knew? But if they did, they kept their lips shut, because no one.
Yeah, I kind of don't think that anyone knew because
I don't either.
I don't know. I feel like we'll see. We'll see because when the next event comes, people know Dustin Johnson made the leap. Like, why shouldn't I? Like,
yeah. And so for context, the next event is in Portland, Oregon, June 30th to July 2nd. So we'll see. I mean, it's coming down the tracks quickly at us. So
yeah, a month from today, basically. So
yep.
Interesting stuff. But yeah, we got an exciting week on the PGA Tour this week, so we'll get back into that. Recap of the Charles Schwab briefly. Obviously, Sam Burns winning anytime I'm not on him is a little heartbreaking, and even more so heartbreaking that I kind of just gave up on the tournament because none of my outrights were even close. Pretty poor performance on the weekend for my entire card when I had some hope going into Saturday. Webb and Victor both played horrible. My top 20 bets all played horrible. Harry Higgs finishing dead last of the guys that made the cut. Just an atrocity all the way around. So, but you could have got Sam Burns with some very juicy numbers live. He was 7 back going into Sunday, shoots 5 under, and 5 under and gets to -9. And he was off the course at like 3:45, 4 o'clock Eastern time, and there were guys still on the course, and everyone else was going backwards. So, just some notable things that I saw. Obviously, I love HV3, but that was an absolute implosion on the back nine. He shot a 45, but he went triple, double, triple in the middle of his back nine to completely. He didn't even cash a top 20 for people that had top 20 tickets, and he 4-putted from 18 feet. So that'll do it. Sad to see, honestly.
Yeah.
It's hard not to root for HV3, but that was an abomination of golf on the back nine.
It looked like one of my back nines. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he played bogey golf with, a couple of triples, a double, a couple of birdies, and a few pars. So that was interesting. But it wasn't like it was easy out there, no doubt. No one really played well. Obviously, Scheffler didn't make a birdie all day. Brendan Todd had looks to get himself what ended up being into the playoff at -9. He couldn't do it. Scott Stallings kind of stalled out. And
No pun intended.
No pun intended. And yeah, Davis Riley got it to -11, I believe. And then he started bogeying, going OB. No one could really hold it together in the wind on the back nine at Colonial. So Charles Schwab, definitely, and the Colonial Country Club getting some serious respect. I think it's a tough course to win at, and certainly tough to to play in the wind. So Burns kind of got a little lucky, maybe playing earlier, but he did what he had to do, and then makes like a 38-footer from the fringe on the first playoff hole. So Sam Burns, electric factory closer.
Shout out to HV3 for the 8-way first round leader cash for the boys, though.
That was nice. The one positive, yeah.
Better than nothing, but quite the split we got ourselves into.
Yeah, nothing quite like dividing your winnings by 8. Yeah, doing the math on that before the payout actually came was just sad because it started out like, oh, maybe it'll be like a 4-way split. Maybe it'll be like a 6-way split, 8 ways. So
the tough thing is too, and this happens pretty quick, at least on the local that I use, but they pay out the whole amount and then they give the cut down. So like for a split second, you're like, oh, we're not doing a slice here. This is wonderful. Like I pulled the rabbit out of my ass. Then nope, just kidding. There goes.
Take the rest of it.
Whatever. Seven portions of your first round leader, but hey.
So yeah, I guess that was the one bright side of the week for the boys. We did.
I will say
Varner
too,
first round leader.
It's not back-to-back weeks. Someone came from 7 back, entering the final round to win.
Right.
Which is kind of wild.
Right. Which is notable going into Memorial. Obviously, last year John Rahm has to withdraw after the 3rd round due to testing positive for COVID. He had a 6-shot lead over Morikawa and Cantlay. And I mean, it's hard to say that he wouldn't have won. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he would have had a great chance to win. But just going into yesterday, or Sunday, Scotty Scheffler, number 1 player in the world, doesn't close. I mean, he had a 2-shot lead, and the guy who ends up catching him was 7 shots back. So I don't think it's fair to maybe count Rahm's Memorial win as a win, but I don't think it's also necessarily fair to count Cantlay's Memorial win last year as a win.
Are you advocating for Patrick Cantlay right now?
Nobody won. It's a void event. No winners. That being said, both Patrick Cantlay and John Rahm have won this tournament before. So, to be fair, they're both Memorial champions, but neither of them won last year in my eyes. So,
both 1.5-time winners.
Yeah. So other than just completely striking out last week, besides the Varner split first-round leader, not a ton else to touch on with Charles Schwab. This is another, I think, tough test, obviously the Memorial. So, Matt, let us hear it. Muirfield Village, Jack Nicklaus design. It's going to be another tough test.
Yeah, we're looking at a par 72, 7,543 yards, bent grass greens. You probably heard a lot this week. There was a renovation in 2020 after the winning score got really low, and Jack wasn't very happy. He wanted to make the course a little bit tougher. Reconstructed the greens with new bent grass, pushed back the tee boxes a little bit. It now plays 100 yards longer than it did. Redesigned the bunkers. A little bit about the course. Their greens are very firm and fast. They're on the smaller side. It's a long course, and they're kind of hard to hold with long irons. So we're going to be seeing a lot of, around the green game coming up, important this week. There's thick and rough around the greens, so it's going to be very challenging. You're going to kind of have to bring your A game in that regard if you want to compete this week. I think hitting hitting as many greens as you can in regulation is going to be huge this week, because anytime you miss it, you're really going to be struggling to make par. This is not a course that's easy to kind of scramble around on.
Yeah, the bunkers are brutal too.
Yeah, sand saves. I was going to bring that up too. It was going to be
a horrible course for me.
It's going to be important.
Bunkers are not my friend. So
yeah, so kind of additionally in that, I mean, obviously looking at approaching greens and regulation is going to be important, but I think it's going to kind of also be somewhat important to look at hitting the fairway off the tee, because playing out of the rough is going to make this very difficult to make pars. I mean, you're going to be coming in with those irons. It's going to be tough to hold the greens if you hit them. It's going to result in a lot of missed greens. I think the best way to play this course is to hit fairways and try to hit as many greens in regulation as possible. You're still going to have to scramble around, but I think that's going to be the key to success this week. The fairways are a little bit wider, so it's not like you have really tight fairways to hit, but I think it is still going to be something important to watch. In addition to obviously the iron play and everyone's going to have to be scrambling around at some point. So that around the green and sand saves is going to be really important. I don't know if you had anything, additional to that you were looking into, or I guess, given the fact I didn't really get into this detail, but the winning scores last year, we saw Cantlay win it minus, what was it, 13, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe Rom would have got a little higher. But the point being, it's, it plays as a difficult course. It's one of the tougher courses of non-majors. So I think that maybe you want to take a look at par 5 scoring too, because that's going to be kind of your holes to make birdies on. I think par is a good score on a lot of holes, and you have to take advantage of those par 5s if you want to score well.
Yeah, I agree. And it's like, it's similar to what we talked about during the majors. This course really sets up for guys that have a great all-around game. You're going to need to bring your best driving game because these fairways have definitely been tightened since Jack's made those renovations. And the approach play is huge, which is what he wanted this course to be, because if you do miss the greens in regulation, you're going to be scrambling to get up and down for par. So like we kind of mentioned, they're obviously the elite players that have a certain aspect of their game that they're, most elite at, so to speak. And they're going to need that to be on point, as well as being able to pull on the other parts of their game that may not be as up to the elite level. So that's why we've seen, obviously, Cantlay and Rahm playing very well here. Morikawa came runner-up last year. Adam Scott came runner-up in Cantlay's first win back in 2019. We saw Ricky Fowler play well here in 2017. Bryson, obviously, in 2018. So I think, me kind of looking at it from a betting perspective, there's a lot of good players in this field, similar to a major. It's not a giant field. It feels like a week to kind of take a bunch of shots towards the top and not really worry about trying to thread the needle on some of the long shots that I think if you get burned on a long shot this week, you're not going to be super upset. You want to just have a few guys that you think can get in the mix come the weekend. And so to me, there's probably less than 30 guys that actually, in my opinion, have a chance to win this week, which is still a large number, but 25% of the field is comparatively where we're not usually afraid to take some bombs, but I'm looking specifically at guys who've played well recently or played well at Memorial, some good iron players, and spin zoning my way into whether or not they can have a big spike putting week on bent or they're kind of a consistent around the greens player. But yeah, if you're not striking the ball well here, you're not going to be in contention. So tee to green is going to be huge, and it's going to be a grind. Mid-teens winning score is probably expected, maybe low teens. So it's not going to be easy. And I think coming off of last week, it's kind of fun to have tournaments like this that are non-majors where you're going to need to play grinded out golf for 4 days to get a victory. So that's where my thoughts are at. I will have some discrepancies probably in my thought process going through the board and trying to spin zone my way through different guys and not necessarily going with one exact formula to find a winner. But, it also value speaks, and we'll see what we got when we go down the odds board.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm on the same page.
All right, let's do it. So like I said, no JT, no Scotty, but we do have quite the loaded field. So currently on FanDuel Sportsbook, we've definitely already seen some odds moving around. We are recording on a Tuesday. So John Rahm is currently the favorite on FanDuel at 10-1, followed by Rory McIlroy at 11-1. And then we have Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, Cam Smith, and Colin Morikawa all between 17 and 19. So I'll stop there. First 7 guys on the board. It's like I said, it feels like a week to kind of teeter towards the top of the board, Matt. So did any of these guys kind of stick out to you when initially looking at the odds list?
Yeah, I think you can make a case for a majority of them.
Yeah.
I think this is the thing. I think Rahm and Rory set up probably best. But that being said, given neither of them is really winning at that high of a percentage lately, I think it makes sense to kind of drop a level down and get kind of twice the number on them. I'm looking – I haven't made my mind up here yet. I'm looking at Morikawa. Obviously, great iron player, strikes the ball well. The putting is a concern. He hasn't gained strokes since the Genesis. But when you talk about that kind of elite approach play, he fits here really well. He played well here last year. He also won the Workday, which was held at this course back in, kind of that COVID break. They had the back-to-back weeks here.
Yep.
Played a little bit easier than this, but he still did win at this course. I was between him and Cantlay, and Cantlay was obviously a huge disappointment last week at the PGA, but he does have a great track record here. And I'll get to my other possible thought up top.
All right, yeah. So
here, but,
I went kind of right off the bat, Morikawa. I thought he was most appealing. I think him being towards the bottom of this top 7, getting him at plus 1,900. I got him at 21-1, plus 2,100. Like you said, I mean, a course where he's excelled at. His irons are certainly on display. And, I mean, it's not a huge narrative I think you need to look at too much into, but there is always that thought process at a Jack Nicklaus designed course that guys who have the slight fade of the ball do tend to play better. And Morikawa clearly has an eye for this course. When his driver is on, he's going to be hitting more fairways and putting himself in better position than most. And it kind of feels like we're due for a Colin win. I mean, it's been since his win at the Open, since he's raised a trophy. And we haven't seen the best version of him really in 2022. I mean, and even saying that, he does have 3 top 5s, one at the Tournament of Champions, one at Riviera at the Genesis, and then 5th at the Masters, where him and Rory both kind of played really well on Sunday. But I don't know. It kind of feels to me like we're due for a Colin Morikawa above average putting week, where if that happens, he usually finds himself in contention. And last year, he obviously gained 5 strokes putting and he finished runner-up to Cantlay. So that's where I leaned immediately with Morikawa. I always say and never follow my rules that if Morikawa is close to 20, you just take him, especially in these types of fields. I feel kind of major-esque, and it's going to be tough to score at this course. I think he gives himself an advantage with his iron. So I like Morikawa a lot. And then similar to what you said about Rahm and Rory, you kind of cross those guys out. Not because you don't think you can win, not because you don't think they can win. You definitely think they can win, but 10, 11-1, just not enough juice for me in this strong of a field. I could see Rahm definitely being out for redemption, and Rory still feels like he's on the verge of something special. So those guys are scary, but can't go there. I refuse to believe that Patrick Cantlay is going to win a tough tournament 3 times in 4 years. So that was crossed off. Xander Schauffele refused to believe he's going to win a tournament really ever until he does. So crossed that one off. And then I really
is there a cut at this event?
There is a cut. So that no cut bullshit doesn't fly here, Xander. And then I considered Cam Smith. It's weird he's not played well here when in theory you would think he would play well here. I think you can maybe throw a little bit of that out the window because he's playing the best golf he's ever played in his life currently, in the past 6 months. So I could see him contending. And I'm kind of stuck between Jordan Spieth and overloading in the next middle tier. But Spieth, I mean, under the radar has actually a decent resume here. I mean, he's 3 consecutive top 20s with a 7th back in 2019, 13th in 2020. He did finish 3rd in 2015, 13th in 2017. He only has 1 missed cut in his appearances at the Memorial. And we've kind of seen him be on a really good run. I mean, he didn't play well at the PGA, finished 34th. But other than that, obviously his win at RBC, runner-up at the AT&T Byron Nelson, and then 7th at the Charles Schwab last week. And that was kind of under the radar. I mean, he never really got himself into contention, so to speak. But if he had put together a round like Sam Burns did on Sunday, it would have been right there. So I like Spieth, so it kind of feels like I'm going to go that way. And it gives me a little bit of feeling like I have a guy who can scramble around and potentially save himself with the putter and have the elite iron player and Morikawa as well. So that's really where I'm leaning, but we'll get into the middle tier as well. But so let's just get into it then, I guess. So pretty much touched on everyone at the top part of the board. Shane Lowry, shockingly, I mean, maybe not super shockingly, but he's at 22-1. Victor Hovland at 24, Hideki Matsuyama, Will Zalatoris, Matthew Fitzpatrick, all between 25 and 28 on FanDuel. And then Max Homa, Cameron Young, Sungjae Im, all between 34 and 37 on FanDuel. And then Joaquin Neiman and Davis Riley, Patrick Reed now at 48-1. Those three are the final guys that are under 50-1 in this field. So I thought that this part of the board is super intriguing. Feels like a great week to kind of hammer away at the middle part of this board. So Matt, where did your eyes get drawn to first?
Yeah, this is the range that I really like. So up top, I'm between still Cantlay, Morikawa, and Hovland was my third guy.
Yeah,
Didn't want to jump ahead too much.
That's my third guy as well.
Obviously his ball striking is really good. The thing that kind of always concerns you in these tougher events with, tough around the green is his around the green really holds him back in these type of events. I mean, his putting hasn't even been that bad, but the around the green game is really bad. And he's going to have to hit a ton of greens in regulation if he wants to win this week, which is kind of the setback on him.
Yeah, but it also kind of feels like the formula to his success regardless almost. You know what I mean? Like he's going to need to be an absolute savage with his irons and hit a ton of greens in regulation.
I'm still like, we kind of touched on this last week where I'm like still trying to figure out what like setup is best for Hovland.
Well, it wasn't last week. I can tell you.
No, but I'm saying like I can't figure out if he's going to be like really good on these tough courses or because of the lack of ability to kind of scramble, he's just going to have to win like these birdie fests where he can just go extremely low, and that's not going to kill him around the green.
Yeah. I mean, well, as of now, his wins are not super impressive by any means.
No.
And he has had a few decent performances on tougher tracks, but nothing really to write home about. So and that's kind of why I think I'm leaning towards taking Spieth instead of Hovland. I mean, granted, we're saying that, but he did play well at Riviera, finished fourth. He did play well at the Players, finished ninth. And he's made 7 consecutive cuts. Like he's not been awful. It's just
no, he hasn't been bad.
No, it's weird because there was a stretch during the middle of the season. Well, maybe not the middle. I mean, he wins at Mayakoba in late 2021, but coming off of the end of last year, and actually it was pretty much this time of the year last year. In June, finished third at the Valspar, third at Wells Fargo, then played well at the Open Championship, played well down the stretch, finished fifth at the Tour Championship. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, until he wins a tougher event, it's kind of hard to see it. And maybe you're right. It's better to take him on less difficult courses where you can kind of go extremely low.
Yeah.
So I think we might have just talked ourselves off of Victor Hovland.
Yeah, no, we might have. Eventually he could just figure out the around the green game. Like, I guess it's a little bit of a foreshadowing, but like was Joaquin Neiman, like, a year ago, 2 years ago, where, he didn't have around the green game, and now he's like good at that. So
yeah, that's true.
He can get there with his game.
But not right now.
No, not yet. So we might have talked ourselves off of him. In this range, though, I will move on, and I do like Will Zalatoris.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 33 on him earlier. I'm kind of pissed I missed the 35. I was dragging my feet. Memorial Day weekend got to me.
So I was dragging my feet too, but I'm also on the Zalatoris train this week.
Yeah, I was slow with the draw, but I do like him a lot this week. We know he plays these difficult courses well. Lost in the playoff at the PGA. He's, still looking for that first win, but it feels like it's right around the corner. Last 24 rounds, third tee to green, second in ball striking. Putting is, kind of his the thing that holds him back. But I will say, I was kind of impressed with the PGA. Like, he made that big putt on 18.
No, he putted really well at the PGA.
So, yeah, he gained strokes putting. He made the clutch putt on 18 to get to the playoff. Like, I think he kind of got over a little bit of a hurdle where it's like, oh, he can't make big putts like down the stretch. He did fine at the PGA. So I like Zalatoris this week.
If you remember, he actually putted pretty well at the match play too. He made some clutch putts at the match play.
I think that he's a good play this week. I think it's a perfect course for him. I like him a lot.
I love it. Yeah, and I mean, to a degree, he is similar to Hovland in that he's an elite ball striker, phenomenal off the tee. Pounds the ball, pounds fairways, greens in like regulation, and his short game to a degree holds it back. But different from Hovland, who also isn't a great putter. Willie's been pretty good around the greens. Last 24 rounds, he's 35th in strokes gained in this field, which is, definitely solid for a guy that's hitting his irons as well as he is, where he doesn't need to go up and down as often as the rest of the field. We've seen him compete on these tougher tracks, and it doesn't really matter that he hasn't played these courses a ton. I mean, obviously he has played the Memorial once and missed a cut, but I don't really think that that's too much to sniff at, because he's gaining confidence in strides over the past year. So his numbers kind of been where it's been. I mean, he's not getting a ton of respect in like the mid 20s, although he is now down to 26-1. So he is certainly getting some of that steam, but I don't really have a problem betting on him, even though he hasn't capitalized yet, as in comparison to not betting on Matthew Fitzpatrick at 28-1, who you could probably argue a similar thing, but he's had plenty of chances to get his first PGA Tour win, way more than Will Zalatoris, and he's not been able to get it done. I like Willie Z a lot this week. I think his irons will help him out a lot. I think his off the tee game will certainly help, and he's played well on these tough tracks. He's got a great little 2022 going with 4 top 6s, and obviously played well at the Masters and the PGA. So,
and think about these difficult courses. You just mentioned the Masters, the PGA. Like, he was so close to winning the Farmers when he lost to Luke List there. Like, he's been knocking on the door at these tough courses.
No, he definitely has. And he's, at a longer track where, he puts the ball out there and hits his long irons well, I think this sets up well for him. And like we talked about, I don't think his short game is as much of a problem as some of the other young players. And you just hope you can get a good week with the putter. So I love it. I have some predicaments in this middle tier. I am drawn to a bunch of different guys, and I'm kind of under the impression that I may just end my card before we even get into the 50s and 60s, which is not something I typically do. But I could make a strong case for Homa, Sung Jae, Joaquin Niemann, and Cameron Young to a degree. So I like all those guys. I think Niemann is the only one Niemann's the only one I'm fully locked in on currently. I think he's been trending too. It's maybe a tough ask to win the Genesis at Riviera in the same season as you're going to win the Memorial at Muirfield Village. But if there's a guy that can do it, obviously Niemann has played very well even since his win of the Genesis. He hasn't really put it all together completely. Played well at RBC, played okay at the Masters, played okay at the PGA Championship. But when I say okay, he finished inside the top 25 and pretty much gaining in all aspects of his game, except his approach has been off in his last 2 appearances, which I think when he's going right, that's the best part of his game. So I kind of expect him to bounce back from that and be a nice, strong play here in the 41-1. Could have got him at a better number this week, but now he's moving down, similar to Will Zalatoris. So.
Yeah, I'm on board him too. I love this setup for him. The irons have kind of not been the best the last couple of weeks, but I think he's going to bounce back on that. He's still gained strokes to the green his last 8 starts, and kind of touched on it before. Like, what used to be his weakness, he's 5th in the field around the green in his last 24 rounds. He hasn't lost strokes in that category at all in 2022. Like,
it's impressive.
It's impressive. Like, he's now like, we can kind of shave that narrative, and now it's kind of like almost flipped. Like, he's been good around the green.
And he's been good on the greens too. He's gained over 2 strokes putting in his last 3 events.
Right. He's got like a pretty good short game now. We know he's a good ball striker. Like, he's long off the tee. I like him a lot this week, and I think he's due for – I guess Riviera is a big win, but I feel like he's knocking on the door of like kind of joining that next category of guys. And I expect him to play well this week. I'm on board too. I think it's a good number.
Yeah, no, solid, very solid. Like I said, he's been one of the more consistent golfers, and his skill set is elite, and he can definitely play with the best of them, and he obviously has shown it on tougher tracks as well. So I like that we're both on board there. Obviously, I listed some of the guys that I'm debating, Matt. So who else you got?
I like Max Homa too. I'm going to be back on Max this week. He's another guy that's been really good, especially on these tough courses. Last 24 rounds, 9th tee to green, 5th in ball striking, 5th in approach. His putting's been pretty good. He's now gained in 3 straight events. Around the green is kind of like the weak part of his game, but he's gained 2 of the last 4. He only lost 0.3 strokes around the green at the PGA, which is obviously an extremely difficult test. And just looking at his track record and some of the similar style events that are, tough and you got to grind it out. I mean, he's won at Quail Hollow. He won at Potomac, which we saw a couple weeks ago at the Wells Fargo, which was a really tough test. He won there, in the single digits under par. And he's won at Riviera. Like, he kind of has that track record of winning at these tougher courses. I like him this week. There's not really much knocks on his game at this point.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're 100% right. And like, I keep trying to talk myself out of it to a degree because I'm not used to necessarily seeing him down under 40-1, but he's kind of played his way into this territory where he wins golf tournaments and he plays these tougher events really well. He, similar to mentioning, Neiman, I think Homa's kind of turned himself into this guy that doesn't have any giant flaws either. I mean, he's good tee to green. He's great on approach. His putter is okay. His around the green game is okay. Like, none of it is below average by any means. And he seems to be able to grind it out on these tougher courses. And I think he kind of makes birdies in unexpected ways sometimes. And it's tough to doubt him when he obviously won Wells Fargo, played well at the Genesis again, coming in off of his win from the prior season, competed at the PGA, competed at the Players. It doesn't seem like – it's hard to tell where Max Homa's peak is, but maybe we've reached it, maybe we haven't. But if we haven't, it's kind of hard to not feel like you want to get on his next win. I mean, it's similar to Sam Burns. We've hit on him a ton, and I would hate to back-to-back weeks have one of my guys win and not be a part of it. So that's my dilemma currently.
Yeah.
The only thing yeah.
It's kind of like I'm starting to just like trust Homa in these like tougher events. Like, I'm done doubting him. And you kind of look at the odds list and it's like, is there any reason why he should be below Matt Fitzpatrick? No.
Probably not. And
even,
I mean,
even at this point, like, I don't know. I get Xander is like a way bigger name, but I mean, Homa's done a lot more on the PGA Tour. Like,
recently, yeah.
Winning tougher. No, I mean, even resume wise, like the events they've won. I mean, Xander has like gold medal, but I mean,
yeah, we shit talk Xander a bunch, but I mean, he does have some WGCs, and obviously would he win a Tournament of Champions? Actually, I don't even know.
He has one
WGC? Since the Greenbrier that he's won a full field event. So from that standpoint, Homa's resume is definitely better. But I think Xander's consistency still in tougher events, because those you have to include majors when you talk about tough events, and obviously has not been very good in the majors.
No, but he did get them. He played fine at the PGA.
Yeah, no, and he played well with the Players. So maybe he's starting to turn that around. And like he mentioned in some of the interviews he's been doing, he's gaining confidence. He feels like he's getting back to his roots. So I think you've kind of convinced me to make my last outright play on Max Homa and just completely disregard the rest of the board.
I will also say, not to get too sidetracked here, but for Sam Burns too, we didn't really talk about it, but huge hurdle to get over at the PGA, where he was like similar to Homa and they didn't have like good finishes in majors,
right?
And he played well at the PGA too.
Yeah, no, and now, I mean, I mentioned at the beginning of the year it was going to be the year of Sam Burns, and he's kind of put that into pretty good perspective. That if it wasn't for Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns would have a great case for Player of the Year right now. So, and Max Homa, if he wins and plays well in majors as well, he could be right up there too. So,
and we also could be looking at both of them on the President's Cup squad. Well, Sam Burns is definitely going to be on there, but
I think they're both pretty much locked, to be honest.
Yeah, Homa's on there right now. I mean, I think he could, I guess, point-wise get off, but right now they're in both.
Yeah, no, I think they're both definitely in. I'm pulling it up right now, just a little side note here, but yeah, we're getting a little off tangent. But yeah, Sam Burns is second in points currently, behind Scheffler, and then Homa's seventh in points currently. So, I mean, they're up there with the likes of Scheffler, JT, Cantlay, Spieth, Morikawa. Then Xander's eighth. Tom Hoagie is still up there. He's in ninth. And then Zalatoris, Gooch, Kokrak, Horschel, Finau. A slew of other guys. Obviously, DJ and Brooks were not mentioned. They're further down the standing. So the captain's picks are going to be interesting for all these upcoming teams. So
I wonder if they have their eye on the LIV golf event coming up.
I'm sure they don't, to be honest. If DJ's odds are going to be absurd at those events. So, all right. Yeah. So I guess I made my last pick there with Max Homa. I will say, I think Sungjae is at a pretty good number. I I think Cam Young and Davis Riley maybe are a little bit over. They're a little overvalued. Like, I don't know if overvalued is the correct term here, but their numbers aren't as their numbers should be better. I mean, I think they're in the middle of a hot streak. They're definitely playing great golf, Cam Young in particular. But I think it'll be tough for them to get their first win at a course and event like this. But I mean, it's similar to Zalatoris in a sense, but I think Zalatoris has been doing it for a little bit longer and has a little bit more, credentials in that category. So those are my thoughts there. And then Sungjae, I don't know. I have a feeling he's going to play well this week, but I can't really say that with any actual like oomph, because I don't know what the hell happened to him in Korea, but we didn't see him for a little bit, and then he played well last week at the Charles Schwab. His course history isn't great. He's 2 missed cuts and a 57th, so I think I'm easily able to pivot off that to back Sonoma.
Yeah, I will say too with Cam Young, I just think it's a big ask for him at that number to win. I mean, like you said, he's been hot for a little bit now, but when you consider how long it takes, like some really good players to win, like Zalatoris hasn't won yet.
Yeah.
Scotty Scheffler, it took him close to 2 years to pick up that win. Like, I don't think Cam Young is Scotty Scheffler. Like, I think it's just tough for him to win this quickly at this type of event with this field.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
So that it makes some choices up there a little bit easier, but I do think that area of the board will be popular, and we'll get into over 50 to 1 now, where there are some definitely other big names, but I think I'm not going to say I'll be shocked, but I think that it will be a big ask for anyone over 50 to 1 to win this week, and that's kind of why I built my card the way I did. So Daniel Berger, Corey Connors, Mito Pereira, Seamus Power, Abe Answer, Jason Day, all between 50 and 55 on FanDuel. Then Adam Scott, Billy Horschel, Keegan Bradley, Chris Kirk, Aaron Wise, and Mark Leishman, all between 65 and 70 on FanDuel. And then we're kind of quickly over 75 and above. We get into the hundreds pretty quickly, but if you have anyone over 50 that you want to talk about, definitely fire away. I think I'm going to be sticking with those guys I got, and then probably adding some top 20s in this
Yeah,
range.
I'm considering for a placement, maybe Gary Woodland or Siwoo.
Okay.
Like you said, I mean, I think the top of the board is kind of where it's going to be at this week. Those are 2 guys I was kind of looking at in this range, and I had to throw in one really deep bomb just because I couldn't pass on it. But in this range,
all right. Well, then I guess let's just get all the way to 100. Then I mean, Siwoo and Gary Woodland, like you mentioned, they're at 75 with Alex Noren, Matt Kuchar, Tom Hoagie. Then Bryson apparently is making his comeback this week, who's at 85. Brian Harmon and Brendan Steele are the only guys then between 90 and 100. And we're over 100 to 1 and above. So I will quickly say I think Chris Kirk is a decent top 20 play this week. I'll be looking at him. I like the Gary Woodland shout as well. Chris Kirk just modeled out really well for me. I guess not really super surprising, but he's been great tee to green over his last 24 rounds, great on approach. He's been really good off the tee. His short game has actually been pretty phenomenal around the green over his last 24 rounds. He's 4th in this field. And then putting on bent, he's been average. So I think he's got his full game kind of clicking right now. And I don't have the top 20 odds in front of me currently, but nice little stretch here since, I guess, February, 14th at the Phoenix Open, 7th at the Honda, 5th at Arnold Palmer, 5th at the PGA Championship, 15th last week at Charles Schwab. Just been playing consistently good golf. So I'm going to take a shot on Chris Kirk for a top 20. And I like your Woodland thought as well.
Yeah, I don't hate that Chris Kirk play. He's been playing well lately.
I'm also considering a Billy Horschel top 20 play as well.
Yeah, I looked at him. I mean, he kind of burned me last week, so I don't know. I might have to take a break from him.
Yeah, all right, that's fair. I mean, he does have 4 top 15s at the Memorial. Didn't play particularly well last year. Obviously, been a bit of a downturn in form of late. Didn't play well at PGA. Didn't play well last week at Charles Schwab, missing a cut. But we're not far removed from his 6th place finish at the Phoenix Open, 2nd place at the Arnold Palmer, and 21st at RBC Heritage. So I think Horschel and Kirk will be on my top 20 cards. And then I have a few additions that are further down the board.
I don't hate that. Yeah, I guess wherever Hunter, we're just kind of firing away. I'm not
fire away.
I'm not going to take him, but I do have to mention Harris English back in the field. Welcome back, Harris.
Yeah,
I have
you
missed
said
you.
you said in confidence that you missed Harris English.
I did.
Yes,
I have
he was
missed
like a good
Harris
friend of
English.
yours.
I've actually, it's like crazy. It's not even like, oh, Harris is back. I've been looking for him for a little bit now. I'm like, what's the deal with Harris? I'm glad to see him back.
Didn't he have like hip surgery or something like that?
He did have some kind of surgery. He's had something serious. He's been out since
Wow.
January. So
Yeah.
it's good to see him back and recovered. Let's hope that he starts turning this game around so we can take him again soon.
Well, yeah, because honestly, if you see any signs of life from Harris, we'll see how long it takes the books to kind of price him back into where he was when he was playing really well. You'd see him, between 30 and 60 most weeks. And then, given how hot he was playing, you could see him, high 20s even in certain fields. So Harris is a guy to definitely keep your eye on.
Yeah, we're at almost the 1 year anniversary of him winning in like 8 playoff holes at the Travelers for us.
Yes.
Yes. That was absolutely insane.
Yeah, that was insane. So shout out Harris being back. Another guy who's slowly coming back, and I keep mentioning Ricky Fowler. 3 consecutive made cuts. Your boy is trending in the right direction.
What do you think of the bucket hat look?
I love the bucket hat look. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And now he's back at a course where he's had plenty of success. He's got a runner-up in 2017, 3 other top 14 finishes, an 8th and 11th as well. So I really like Fowler to kind of keep trending. I think he's got a good eye for this course. I mean, the numbers aren't jumping off the page yet, but he's back in a respectable range. He's 64th in strokes gained approach over his last 24 rounds in this field. I will say he's putt pretty well on bent over his last 36 rounds. He's 24th. His around the green game has been pretty solid. And I don't know. I'm going to keep riding the Ricky train until it starts paying off for me. So I'm going to take a top 20 on Ricky.
You going to take him outright?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe because I have such a top heavy card, I'll just
I feel like you need one bomb on there.
Toss a little action on Rick. Maybe a first round leader too. We'll see what the tee times setups are, but I think Rick's going to keep playing well. I think he's kind of figured it out. He's got a little mojo back. I like that he did go out there with the bucket hat, get his swag going again, growing his hair out. I like it. So
he's feeling so confident in his game. He passed in the LIV event.
Yeah,
he's back. Like he's like, I don't need that. I'm going to win on PGA.
Yeah, I like that. So yeah, I'm back on board with Ricky. Not really surprised, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I like that. Speaking of our guys and getting back on board, 150, too high of a number, could not pass for Keith Mitchell.
Nice. You take him outright?
I'm going to take him outright, yeah. I'm going to sprinkle the outright, do a little, top 20 or 30 play on him too. It's a big ask for him, but I will say his last PGA Tour win came at PGA National, Jack Nicklaus design, got that going for him.
I like this.
Yeah, getting long off the tee. His around the green, you could be concerned about it, but I will say he actually is good out of the sand. So if he just misses the green in the sand, that could be a positive for him. He's been putting all right. Good par 5 score. I think he's going to sneak around this week. I think.
All right. Yeah, no, I like that. Keith Mitchell was on my radar for top 20 play as well, so I like that a lot.
He's coming off at 34th at the PGA, respectable finish at a tougher course.
Yep, under the radar, yeah. And then another guy who I've taken a ton of this year, and I've kept mentioning him in the likes of like going on a Jason Kokrak run. I've said that probably a million times now, but Luke List, I think, again, this is another place that could shape up well for him if he's hitting his irons well. He's a monster off the tee, accurate and long. His approach game has still been very good despite his, downturn and finishes over his last, I guess it's like 4 months now, but since his win at the Farmers, his finishes have been underwhelming, but I still think that the upside is there for Luke. So I will take a top 20 shot on him this week as well. Obviously the putter is always a concern, but he actually putted well at the PGA recently. And he does have a 10th place finish here back in 2020. So I like Luke as a top 20 play. And I think you probably throw a little Keith Mitchell action in there too. So
I like
got a nice little card rounding out. I think I'll have some good value in the top 20s and top heavy, I guess, outright card. That's what we're doing. So
I like it. Yeah. Boss, do you have any thoughts?
Real quick before I jump into my card, because while we're a golf podcast, we are hockey guys. This hockey game between Colorado and Edmonton is on crack right now.
11 goals.
It's
Yeah.
7-4
Oh my
with
God.
2 minutes and 50 seconds left in the second period. It is insane.
That's insane.
So, yeah, just thought I would share that for the folks in case they were curious.
I'll say we do have Oilers future tickets, so I'm going to say this is a positive. I mean, we're hanging with them. It's just a little alarming that we're giving up 7 goals in a little less than 40 minutes. So
yeah, definitely not the best of signs, but we can spin.
But if you recall, they also lost, I believe, 9-6 to the Flames last round. So
yeah,
just food for thought. They did get their shit pumped a couple times last series and still managed to win the series. So
We got them right where we want them.
Get their guard down and then punch them in the face. I like it.
Yeah. Yep.
To rattle off my thoughts quickly, I mean, traditionally my style is towards the top of the board under 50-ish anyways, but definitely going to be sticking around there this week, just like your strategy, Owen. I am on Morikawa up at the top. I know you touched on him, but I think this, he's had good history at this course. Some of the stats aren't great. Obviously, the putting, we're hoping for a spike week, but he's had good history here before. I am willing to take a plunge on him. I got a 22, so I love the number.
He's due for a good spike week. Yeah.
Love the number for, his portion of the board. And I think, this is a big boy kind of week. So I also am doing something that I already hate myself for, and I know you guys are probably going to agree with.
You should.
But I'm on Xander this week.
You should hate yourself for that. Yeah.
I do hate myself, but I've been told that sometimes you should be disgusted at the bets you place, and it should make you uncomfortable a little bit because the ones you love, sometimes they just work out terribly. So I'm trying to play both sides of the fence. I love the Morikawa play. I hate the Xander play. So hopefully one of them works out for me.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
I really don't have much besides obviously Xander is a high floor player. He's capable of winning. He doesn't seem to do it enough. But something just spoke to me, so I pulled the trigger on Xander. We'll see how that goes. Feel free to bring this up next week and mock me.
Yeah, good luck. I mean, it's better than feeling super confident about a guy and him not playing well. So,
like I did for Spieth at the PGA.
Right. I wasn't going to bring it up verbatim, but yeah.
So. No, that's fair. I deserve that one for sure. We're in the
all right. So Xander and Morikawa.
Going down a little bit. I'm on our boy Max Homa. It sounds like that's a group play now. Well done, Matt. Excellent, reasoning there, getting no one on board. Yeah. Love Max Homa. I got a 40. Nice. I'm good with that. I'll take that every day of the week on our boy.
If Max wins for us as a group again, I mean,
he's already the most profitable golfer for this podcast. So let's just keep stacking cash, Max. Why not?
I like that.
I'm also going to be on Cam Young. I'll readily admit that it might be a little bit of a big ask, but he's been awesome so far this year. He played great at the PGA. I don't see any reason why he can't keep the ball rolling this week. So I've taken him a couple times, so I'm going to ride him there. Also got a 40 on him, which is a little better than some of the numbers out there. So I'm going to ride Cam Young. And I also took a little speculative play on your boy, Patrick Reed, Matt.
Wow.
I again, similar to Xander, I just feel like there might be a little something in it this week. He's played well here before. He seems to be turning the corner again.
Yeah.
I know you're hoping that the full corner turn is going to happen at the U.S. Open in a couple of weeks, but I think there's a chance that it might happen this week. So I took a little piece of P. Reed.
Yeah, if Reed wins this week, I'm going to have a real tough time believing he's going to win again at the U.S. Open in 2 weeks. So I'm kind of waiting he holds off on it. But he's looking pretty good lately. He looks like he's kind of back.
He does.
Yeah. So, and typically we talk about Patty Reed as one of those guys you don't really need to see form. He can just kind of spike and win a tournament. So I'm even more encouraged by the fact that it seems to be trending in the right direction. So
yeah, and it's a Patrick Reed type of course where guys are missing greens all over the place, and he goes up and down, saving pars.
Little short game magic. I'm here for it. So
yeah,
that is my card this week.
Okay. All right, one and done thoughts. I'm starting to slip a little bit. I'm 237th now in the Mayo Cup. I've just started to realize that this is not exactly what happened last year, but if you're not getting guys inside the top 5, there's 4,400 people in this pool. People are bound to pick the winner, and they're going to be, moving up with millions of dollars. So I need another winner, and that is where I am probably. It's selected as of now. I haven't used them yet. Colin Morikawa, just going full in on Morikawa this week. So
I like it.
that's where I'm at.
I don't hate that. I have not confirmed that I haven't used them, but I don't think I have. And I'm going to go with Will Zalatoris.
Okay.
I like Zalatoris this week. I think the setup's good for him. He already got his kind of hangover after the PGA out of the way. I think he's going to bounce back this week.
I like that thought.
I fully intended to lean into my gross decision and take Xander for one and done, just because he's a high floor player. So I think he's a good one and done play, but I have already used him. So I'm going to pivot and take Shane Lowry because I think he's a decent player. Again, I think he's having a good season and has a high floor.
All right.
And I really have nothing to lose. So Shane Lowry.
You have nothing to lose. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing to lose. So.
Yeah. I'm starting to realize I have a bunch of players left that I haven't used yet, which is a little concerning. But, do I save Morikawa for a major? Maybe.
I think you need to keep going with how you've been rolling it this year.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, that's true.
You've been so hot. I don't think you deviate from the plan.
That's fair.
Don't second guess. Just keep it going, baby.
All right, so quick recap. Outright, I'm rocking with Morikawa, Spieth up top, and then Zalatoris, Neiman, and Homa in the middle. May sprinkle a little Fowler down below at 110 to 1. Might be able to find something a little bit better, but that's my outright card. And then top 20s, I'm looking at Chris Kirk, Billy Horschel, Luke List, Keith Mitchell, and probably Ricky Fowler as well. So that's where I'm at there. First round leaders will be posted as we post our cards. I might get a little bit more aggressive there. How about that?
Yeah, we can't have another 8-way split for the first round leader. You have been hot on them though, so
yeah,
is that back-to-back weeks?
Yeah, Fowler or no, not Fowler. That might be a premonition that Fowler's going to be first round leader this week, but no, it's Rory and then Varner. Yeah, so
yeah, Rory. Second time this year, I had him outright, and he had the first round lead, and then didn't win. But
it's the worst.
Anyway, back to the top. Back to the subject. I'm still deciding up top between Morikawa and Cantlay. I feel like 100th episode, maybe I have to go with kind of the group play here and go Colin.
Yeah, well, also, I mean, if you guys have Cantlay and Xander up top, I'm just going to throw up, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of trash talking of Cantlay over the past 99 episodes.
Yeah, you have.
Do you really think he's going to win three times in 4 years?
Probably not. Well, he's only 2.5 out of 4, though. Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, maybe Colin up top. Well, I'm still deciding. Zalatoris, Homa, Neiman, then Baum and Keith Mitchell. Then top 20, maybe some combination of those guys. Gary Woodland, Siwoo, Keith Mitchell. And I do kind of like that Chris Kirk thought as well.
Beautiful. All right, 100th episode in the books. We made it, boys. Amazing. U.S. Open is right around the corner. We got some interesting stuff next week. Maybe we'll give a little preview of the LIV golf tournament as well, depending on when those odds drop and what they look like. But it's exciting times for the golf world. And, we're coming down the home stretch. I mean, the summer kind of goes by quickly, and then we're into the playoff events. That was another thing I wanted to mention. Ricky Fowler currently qualified for the playoffs. He's inside the top 125. Yeah.
Wow.
He's making noise, dude. 3 consecutive made cuts.
Trending.
Look at that.
All right. Till next week. Talk to you guys later.